What role did local, municipal, and county governments play in approving the Sunoco Mariner East 2 pipelines? What role did the courts play, and what can you do to contest the next 2 pipelines from being placed into operation? Welcome to PA Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco, your host. Do you watch my YouTube channel but haven't subscribed yet? Why not now? It's easy and free. Just click the red button and the bell right beside it, and you will be notified of all new content. This is part 3 of a 3-part series. In part 1, we discussed the chemical properties and dangers of the pipelines. In part 2, we discussed the failure of the state government in protecting the residents of Pennsylvania from the hazards of the pipeline. In this episode, we will discuss the failure of government at the municipal and county level and discuss a call to action. So there was a breakdown at the state level. Now I'd like to ask you about local, township and borough, and county level. What did you observe concerning local commissioners and their relationship to protecting citizen property?
Right. So Pennsylvania is a commonwealth, and we have a system of political subdivisions that that devolves enormous authority at the local level, and rightly so, I think. So what we saw is some townships completely abdicated on their duties to protect the public interests of their residents, and some townships did what they thought they could. Some townships have been very strong to their credit, and some have preferred to take the position that we have no power. We're a powerless political subdivision, and that actually didn't go over that well. And if you were paying attention to the races in 2017, a lot of municipal seats had incumbents removed along the pipeline route, all through Chester County and some in Delaware County as well. Primarily on the basis of what those supervisors or commissioners had done or had not done to protect the people that they were charged with protecting.
Let's look at the county level. What do you see at the county level that is being done that shouldn't be done, or isn't being done that should be done?
So Delaware County in 2012 commissioned at taxpayer expense a $200,000 economic study on the reuse of the old Sunoco refinery in Marcus Hook. Interestingly, this economic study only considered one option for the facility, and that involved the transportation to it of these hazardous, highly volatile liquids. So there were 7 different options that they considered, but they all involved the transport of these materials to Marcus Hook. And
rather than considering not do it.
Well, clearly there were other potential uses for the property, but maybe it could have been a technology center, or it could have been an amusement park. I don't know. There were clearly other options that could have been considered, but Delaware County Council in 2012 had the taxpayers pay for a study that only considered one option, the option that Sunoco was interested in.
And how about the fact that Sunoco hired as counsel the party chairman for both opposite parties? What do you see in that?
Sure. I mean, and by the way, I should mention when Delaware County Council commissioned the study, Senator Tom McGarrigle was then chair of Delaware County Council. So, but as far as I think what Sunoco really meant when they said they were going to create jobs is they meant they were going to create jobs for lawyers to take people's land away from them, and one manifestation of that, as we've seen, has been the head of the Delaware County GOP is a long time has long represented Sunoco in legal matters, and the former chair of the Delaware County Democratic Party is a partner at a law firm that also represents Sunoco. In fact, a law firm that my homeowners association has battled repeatedly in court proceedings.
Not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence. And it extends to the local level too. In my township of Thornbury, we had a supervisor who voted in favor of a resolution of concern over public safety with regard to Sunoco, and yet that same supervisor, we discovered, has a contract to do work on the project at a neighboring township. So the conflicts of interest are everywhere that you look. We're here in Nether Providence, where a sitting commissioner works for Mango Gold, a firm that represents Sunoco, and that individual recused himself from a vote on a resolution of concern for public safety. So I would suggest to you, if a person is unable to do their job as a commissioner because they have a conflict of interest because their firm works for Sunoco, maybe they shouldn't be in the job as commissioner.
So let's talk about the courts now. Did opponents of the pipeline receive any satisfaction for keeping their property in court?
Well, one of the first, the earliest eminent domain cases that made its way to to Commonwealth Court is the case known as Martin, and it was a number of defendants who had had their property seized by Sunoco, and at the Commonwealth Court level, they lost, but there were two vigorous dissents to the taking. Perhaps two of the most conservative judges on Commonwealth Court, Judge Brobson and Judge McCullough, who vigorously objected to what they clearly viewed as an unconstitutional taking of private property. And look, private property is intensely important to Pennsylvanians. I would say it's intensely important to all Americans, but especially in Pennsylvania. People value their private property that they've worked hard to purchase, and in fact, it's right in Article 1, Section 1 of the Pennsylvania Constitution that you have a right to possess and defend property. And what really touched me out of this experience was learning about an elderly woman in Edgemont Township who had spent 40 years growing with her own hands a grove of fruit trees behind her house, and this was her haven. She wrote impassioned letters to Sunoco and to her attorney to just protect her trees that she'd spent decades working on. You can go by her house now; they're all gone. They took all of them and they put a pipeline up against her bedroom window. It's heartbreaking, and it's wrong.
All right, so Eric, what's the current state of the Mariner East 2 pipeline and 2X?
Well, it's in some state of construction. We don't know exactly how far they've gotten. I suspect it's not as far as they claim, but we know that they've been unable to build large stretches of it across Delaware and Chester County, perhaps 25 miles or so. And so they've come up with a plan that's as reckless as any that we've seen from them, which is to convert an ancient 12-inch pipeline that was constructed in the 1930s to fill the gap across the areas where they haven't been able to construct Mariner East 2. And so they propose to do this roughly from Wallace Township to Middletown Township. Now, this 12-inch pipeline that they propose to use to patch up the gap has leaked 4 times in our area, including as recently as last June. So that's the status. In respect to the hazard that this poses to the public, there are a number of risk assessment studies that are underway, given that Governor Wolf has declined to produce one. The citizens are doing that work themselves in partnership with a number of townships. So there's a citizens risk assessment, which is scheduled for release on August 28th. Delaware County Council has also elected to procure its own risk assessment. And so there are at least 2 separate risk assessments currently underway that will inform the public of the risk in terms of consequences and probability.
Seems like a mess. And now that we're here, with the knowledge of hindsight, you saw it from the ground up, what advice would you have to commissioners, supervisors, and even governors on how, as a citizen, you want your elected official to behave in the face of an energy company or any type of business that wants to build on private property?
First of all, we want to continue to provide information to the public. Most particularly, we want to provide the public with the information about the risk that's being imposed on them by Sunoco. We hope that elected officials will do a better job going forward at fulfilling their primary responsibility to provide for the public safety, and that includes township officials, county officials, and most especially the executive branch of government.
Now that this is being built and it seems hazardous and it seems like government officials have been complicit, what is your call to action?
Well, here's my call to action, Larry, and your mileage may vary, but Harry Truman famously said the buck stops here. My call to action is, Governor Wolf, the buck stops with you. We believe that Governor Wolf has the responsibility and the authority under Pennsylvania law to assess emerging risks to schools. He hasn't done this. And my message to him and my call to action is, if you do not take steps as the governor to exercise the authority that you possess, you will not have my vote.
And what would you want of fellow citizens who think what they've heard today, listening to you, is wrong?
Contact the campaign of Governor Tom Wolf and let him know, as I said, that your vote depends on his actions with respect to this danger to our communities.
Let's leave it there. I want to thank you for being a guest on PA Voter Information Network.
Thank you, Larry. It was a pleasure.
We have been here with Eric Friedman, and I am your host, Larry DeMarco. And if you like this video, please forward this link to all the people on your contact list and Facebook friends, and feel free to comment on the space below. I'd love to hear about your efforts to fight Mariner East pipeline, any feedback that you have. That's all for today. We are signing off. Tune in next time. Bye for now.